G'day legends, g'day superstars, it's Peps, and I'm here with Tip Guts. Round 23 tips for the second last massive weekend of AFL football. You are exactly right. Normally round 23 would mean that it's the end of the season heading into the finals break. But with the extra round for Gather Round this year, we're on our second last week heading into next week, which is obviously round 24. You'd think that the season would be done and dusted by now. Top 8 would be fixed up. The top 4 would be slotted in. By gee, by jingo, by crikey, ladies and gentlemen, there is no chance in hell that has happened with 2 rounds of footy to go. But it might be the second last round, but literally every single game could potentially shape the top 8. We're talking about games where people are going to slot themselves in to the bottom half of the 8. We've got people who could drop out of the 8. We've even got teams that could lock in a top 4, jump into the top 4, drop out of the top 4, and even slot in a home first round of the finals. It is Cocoa Bananas, chock-a-block, packed tighter than a Birdie Beetle show bag as we head into the first game. And we know we are starting off with an absolute cracker. Collingwood and the Brisbane Lions. Interestingly enough, not at the MCG this time round, but at Marvel Stadium, 7:50 tonight. Jacob Ryan for his first game. Good luck, young fella. Still side bottom in, but 3 big losses. Bobby Hill, Darcy Moore, and Jordan the Donuts all out with injuries. Kitty Coleman is in. Jack Gunston and Jackson Pryor are both out, and Will Hoskin-Elliott is playing his 200th game. You've got to remember that Brisbane annihilated Collingwood the last time these two teams played up there at Brisbane. But back down here in Melbourne, and we know Brisbane do not travel that well. Collingwood want to get a win. They haven't been too flash over the last couple of weeks. Brisbane know that if they win this, they potentially lock in a top 2 spot. And let's be honest, it's the only way that we can see them making the grand final is if that actually happens. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, I have to go with the home team here. I just think they've got enough in the tank to cause a little bit of trouble for the back line, even though Harris Andrews has been sensational all year. I think I trust Collingwood's back line a little bit more than the Brisbane Lions back line, and that I'm saying Collingwood can kick a score, but also stop what the Lions will be serving. So I'm going with the Collingwood Magpies to win this one in an absolute nail-biter by no more than 2 goals. All right, let's head into the Saturday games. First game that we are going to be chatting about is Adelaide Crows versus Sydney Swans. Adelaide a small chance of making it, and so does Sydney. Sydney travelling away. They've been really good over the last number of weeks, but can Adelaide pull one out of the hat and take them out? Isaac Rankin is in, and that is a massive in for them. Luke Nankervis and Luke Pedlar out. Braden Campbell, Rampy, and Buller all in for the Swans. But they lose Francis. Joel Armady, that is a big loss. Matt Roberts and Ryan Clark are also out. I'm simply going with Adelaide. Adelaide at home is probably the hardest outside of Brisbane at home. They play really well. Tex Walker is in awesome form. Dawson has been magnificent. Crouch has been fantastic. Laird has been mwah. And with that forward line having Rankin back in, who was arguably their best player when they just lost to Melbourne a number of weeks ago, I think the Crows can bounce back and put a stumble into the Sydney Swans' chances of playing finals football. All right, Gold Coast Suns listeners and Carlton, who are on a streak and a half at Heritage Bank Stadium, 2:10 tomorrow afternoon. This could be the make and break game for Carlton. Here's the scenario. If Carlton keep winning, they are a massive chance, not just for finals, but locking in a top 4 if Melbourne keep losing. So that's what they have on the plate in front of them. Are they going to eat it, or are they going to pass it away and give the Gold Coast Suns a massive win? We'll start with the Blues, and the big boys in. Harry Mackay is back in. Ed Curnow out. Lockie Fogarty out as well. David Cunningham and Matt Cottrell playing their 50th games. Well done, gentlemen. But have a look at the Suns. Alex Sexton, Brandon Nafidioti, Connor Budrick, Lloyd Johnson, and Marwal Choi all in. Darcy McPherson, Elijah Hollins, James Hatsis, Jay Ferrara, Nick Holman, and Sam Day all out. Lloyd Johnson plays his first game for the Gold Coast Suns. And you know what? I'm tipping an upset here. I think the Gold Coast want to show that, yes, we are going to take this one out. We are going to win, and we are going to win hard because we play a contested brand of football that we know Carlton like. We've got the forwards to cause some damage. We think we've got a better midfield, and our backs can also stop theirs as well too. So I'm going with the Gold Coast Suns in an upset and causing that top four position for Carlton to unfortunately slot themselves in to pick number 5 in the AFL ladder and thus having to play an elimination final. Talking about another elimination final, this one for the Giants versus Essendon, 4:35 p.m. at Giants Stadium in New South Wales. Brett Daniels and Toby Bedford, 2 big ins. Jacob Wah, Nick Haynes and Toby McMullen all out. Stringer and Draper are back in. I think the biggest challenge to Essendon not making finals this year was not having Sam Draper. Arguably the top 4 ruckman in the league. And we don't know with the package. You're either going to get first-class service or it's going to be returned to sender. We just don't know what the package is. Baldwin, Bryan, and Will Snelling are all out. And Brandon Zirk Thatcher, a.k.a. The Hyphen, he plays his 50th game as well too. Go with the home team here. Everybody's been saying, why don't I pick Essendon? Why don't I pick Essendon? It's just that they're a bit flaky. And the Giants have been playing some more consistent football over the last number of weeks. Interesting, Aaron Cadman, I think, had 8 in the VFL last week, and they haven't brought him in. So it's hard to get spots at GWS, and for a while, that wasn't the thing that you would say. But they've been playing good footy under Adam Kingsley this year, and I think they'll take this one out. And I reckon this could be a 4 or 5 goaler, to be honest. I think Essendon just want to get towards the end of the year. Their form over the last few weeks has been average. They almost lost to North, almost lost to West Coast, and I think GWS will be way too strong. All right, Richmond versus North Melbourne, 1:45 p.m. We know it's Trent Conch's last game. We know it's Jack Riewold's last game. Hopper's also in as well. Jacob Bauer, Matt Coulthard, and Ryan Mansell all have been taken out for North Melbourne. Daniel Howe, Hugh Greenwood, Tom Powell, and Will Phillips are all in. Lots of changes have been made. Ben Cunnington, well, they're saying he's managed. Charlie Lazaro out. George Wardlaw has been managed. Jackson Archer omitted, and Jaden Stevenson is injured as well too. Look, North have been pretty good over the last number of weeks. I think their form has been a lot better than their record says, especially probably the last month. They've got a real future. They just need a little bit more help with some more experienced players. They'll get there when Harry Mackay eventually leaves. They'll get another draft pick in. They need to go to the draft and build up from there. Clarkson will be back in charge. Everything is just working a little bit better for North. So I'm really excited for what they've got to offer in the next couple of years. And when you've got Wardlaw and when you've got the Cheezel in there, Harry Cheezel, you can't go wrong. But Richmond are going to do it for their retirees. Cochin has been an absolute gem. We know that we love Jack Riewoldt, and Richmond will win this one. They'll probably win it by 4 or 5 goals and send those 2 gun players out on a high. Well, if you want to talk about a game that is definitely going to be final shaping, this is the one that you want to have a look at. It's St Kilda versus the Geelong Cats at Marvel Stadium, 7:25 p.m. No ins for St Kilda. That's how well that they're playing. Hunter Clark is still the sub, and Jackie Snags Higgins is playing his 100th game. Jed Hughes and Tom Hawkins are in. Brandon Parfait, Gary Rowan, and Reece Stanley are all out. And Max Holmes plays his 50th game. Could have played it 1 week ago if they'd played him in the grand final, but unfortunately they left him out. So where do you go with this one? Do you look at Geelong being out, finally getting out of Geelong, Cameron and Hawkins back? But do you look at St Kilda, and we know how much they love to play finals football down at Marvel Stadium. They love it down at Marvel Stadium. They love fast footy. I'm going with the Saints in another semi-little upset. They know if they lose this, the chances of them making finals go completely out the window. And it's going to be 2 seasons in a row where they've started like a house on fire and quickly it was extinguished. Geelong, we know they're not the team they were last year. St Kilda, I would say, have been the better team predominantly through the entire season. Even though when you have a look at Geelong in the game that they played against Collingwood last week, they should have taken that one out, but unfortunately were able to keep it up towards the end of the game. I'm going with St Kilda by a goal, but that could be your fitty for the weekend. All right, Sunday's game, even more shaping as well too. We're starting over in Apta Stadium. We're talking about the 4:40 p.m. It's normally the graveyard shift, but this will be far from a dead game. Fremantle versus Port Adelaide. Bailey Banfield, Nathan Wilson, Tom Emmett, and Travis Collier are all in. Hugh Jackson, Jackson Mead, and Travis Boak are all in as well. Michael Walters is out. And Tom Emmett and Hugh Jackson playing their first games for the respective clubs. So good luck, gentlemen. Who do you go with here? So I heard on the radio today, Dwayne Russell saying that Fremantle are the best team not to play finals this year. I'm not too sure he hasn't looked at the Adelaide Football Club because Fremantle have been absolutely putrid for all season. And to say that, he's got the rose-coloured glasses on, or he's actually got the blind goggles on, because Port Adelaide should win this. But I've got a feeling that Fremantle might do something special here. I think they want to finish on a high leading into 2024, and this would be a great scalp that Longmuir and the rest of the crew would love to take heading into the last week of the season. So I'm going with Fremantle by a solitary point to take this out. Port Adelaide, they might do what they do, but I just think that if there is a game for them to lose, this will be it. So I'm going with Fremantle by the minimalist of margins. Okay, 3:20 p.m. It's the game for BCNA, the breast cancer for BCNA, the Breast Cancer Network of Australia. Apologies, everybody. Melbourne versus Hawthorn, 3:20 p.m. Like I said, at the MCG. Lots of ins for the Ds: Adam Tomlinson, Bailey Laurie, Charlie Spargo, and Josh Shackey. For the Hawks, Brandon Ryan, Harry Hostelwaite, Jai Sarong, Max Ramsden, Ned Long, and Tyler Brockman in. Out is Hibbard as the sub. Bailey McDonald, Chad Wingard injured, Mitch Lewis injured, who is going to be a big loss for the Hawks. I don't know where their goals are going to come from on Sunday. And Harry Hustleway plays his first game. Alex Neil-Bullen plays his 150th. And Melbourne's captain, Maxi Gawn, the premiership captain, is playing his 200th game. I'm going with Melbourne here. They'll be really disappointed how they finished off against Carlton last week. I think that they had that one penciled in. They'll be really shattered by the way the game finished, but you don't rest it on a single instant. Salem running into goal, the missed opportunities in front of goal earlier in the game as well too. And also, you got to think about the fact that Carlton had 24-4 inside 50s in that first quarter. They were absolutely smashed. They won't get that against Hawthorn. They're a different breed. Their midfield is of Newcomb, of Day, of the Warple, are absolutely vicious. But when you're coming up against Sparrow, Viney, Petrarca, Oliver, and with Max Gawn in the middle, I think Melbourne is just going to be a little bit too good down forward as well. I think they'll go with a more mobile forward line. Wouldn't surprise me, though, if they bring Adam Tomlinson in and move Joel Smith down forward, or they bring in Josh Shackey to be up against it with Jacob Van Rooyen. But I'm going with the Ds, 4-goal, comfortable margin, and they know if they win this game, it's going to lock them in a top 4 spot for season 2023. All right, last game of the weekend. It's the Western Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium versus the West Coast Eagles. Not going to spend any time on this one, really. Western Bulldogs by at least 50 points. Could be more, could be less. We just don't know which Western Bulldogs are going to turn up. West Coast, look, they've been putrid all season. They've been okay the last couple of weeks. They really did push Essendon a couple of weeks ago. Anthony Scott, Jordan Sweet, Lockie McNeil, and Luke Cleary all in. Tom Liberatore, a massive loss for the Dogs. In for the West Coast Eagles, we're looking at Callum Jamieson, Jack Petrocelli, Ryan Marrick, and Zane True, Greg Clark being suspended. Still, I reckon that's the best name in the AFL, bar none. Look, the Western Bulldogs, they need to keep winning. You were talking about the best team outside of the top 8 when you spoke about Fremantle a little bit. I reckon Western Bulldogs are almost the best team who are not in the top 4. But I just don't think they're coached well. And has it been a mistake for them to go with Beveridge for another 2 years? Because he's got arguably the best list running around. He's got a forward line that people would dream of and a midfield that people salivate over, but just not getting the best out of him. And after the way that Big Tim English, the baby elephant, was coming out of fullback last week, even the way that they finish games is really suspect as well too. So I'm going with the Western Bulldogs simply because it's West Coast. But outside of all of that, that's going to be the round 23 tips, tipped out style, brought to you by Lace Out, because it's how you want your footy. Hey, just remember, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, kids, wherever you're listening to this, our YouTube channel, Lace Out AFL podcast, is going great guns. And everybody who's been jumping on and watching J-Dog and I in the flesh going through the weekly reviews, you'll be able to see us again this week. So jump on, give us a like, ring the bell, subscribe to us. Also like us on your favorite podcast app as you're listening to this as well too. And J-Dog and I will be back next week live at 8 p.m. on the Facebook page with the round 23 review for the 2023 season. So hopefully your team wins, and more importantly, enjoy the footy. You've only got a couple of weeks left, some of you, and for the rest of us, we're looking forward to finals. Hopefully your teams get through unscathed and enjoy yourselves. Go!